Welcome to There Is a Method to the Madness. My name is Rob Maxwell. I'm an exercise physiologist and personal trainer. I'm the owner of Maxwell's fitness programs, and I've been in business since 1994. The purpose of this podcast is to give you the real deal, to talk about the science, and talk about things that work regarding health and fitness. Today, we're going to talk about some double progression programming. Before I get to that, let me thank Jonathan and Lynn Gilden of the Gilden Group at Realty Pros. They are committed to providing the highest level of customer service in home sales. So why don't you give them a shout and figure out what your home will sell for. 386-451-2412. As you may have heard through the course of time, there is a method to the madness. When we write out workout programs, since I've really been a trainer, I like to follow different kind of principles that really work. I'm not a big believer in just winging things, just doing kind of what you feel like. I'm a believer in planning. I like to see, constant, steady, ongoing results. One of the systems that I've used through the years, and we use it at the gym, it's one of the systems like we've always used and continue to use it, is what is called a double progression program. What that means is that we are using a method to the madness. So you, I, and everyone that works out can overload and get better. And I say I because I love to work out, so I do this stuff with myself, of course. I used to always tell my students, you are always your very first client. You have to do this stuff yourself and, follow the principles and all the things that you're teaching. You have to do it with yourself, or you're really not going to be able to be much good or useful to somebody else. And that's probably true for any profession that you get in. You have to master it yourself first. So I love following the double progression program. And if I ever catch myself not mostly with myself, because I tend to be a type A personality, I drive, I push. And for any of you that think I push you pretty hard, I can promise you I push myself harder. Not always a good thing, but that's the nature of the beast, my beast. So I try to follow these things myself all the time so I don't overtrain. And I'll get myself into a little bit of trouble if I decide to kind of go up or hit failure when I didn't necessarily need to. All right, so let me back up just a minute and talk about the principle of overload. So we have to overload if we're going to get better. I mean, there's just no question about that. If we aren't getting better, we aren't getting better. And if we can build it into the program, then we are going to get better. So better for most people going to the gym is getting stronger. I mean, who doesn't want to be stronger, right? I mean, I don't know. Does anybody not want to be stronger? Because strength is such a good thing. Protecting yourself from injuries, being able to do things, feeling strong, when you're getting stronger, you really feel stronger. Everywhere you walk, you're more confident, you're more sturdy. To me, it's just a great feeling. And it's one of those things that we have control over. We can get stronger. As my great client, Jerry, who just passed a few weeks ago, maybe a month now, used to say, inch by inch, anything's a cinch, Cappy. And I used to love hearing that from him because he got it. If we're just going up a little bit each time, we are making progress, all right? So a system that really works is just called the double progression system. And that just means that, let's say your rep range, and everybody's a little bit different, and sometimes the rep ranges change. They don't have to be the same rep range all the time. I do recommend staying in a rep range long enough to overload within it and then kind of maybe moving to a different rep range. But for some people, the same rep range week after week, month after month, year after year works well. And really the important part is that you're working out and following overload. But the way it would work is, let's say you're in a certain rep range. Let's say we have you doing 12 to 15 repetitions because we've decided based on your movement speed, based on your ability to handle loads, based on what we're picking up on the adaptation you need, like maybe more strength, maybe endurance, whatever. Let's say we decided that 12 to 15 is ideal for you at this moment. So what that means is whatever load we begin at, and that's the part where we use the art with the science. I feel like I'm very good at that. I know my trainers are good at that. I know Ellen's great at that. Deciding what load to begin with is an art, but again, with experience, we can figure it out. I always teach clients when they travel to their workouts to figure that out as well, because you don't always know for sure based on the machines that you're on, especially because we use predominantly pre-core machines at the gym. But if you go somewhere else and they have a different form of equipment, maybe it's Nautilus, maybe it's Cybex, maybe it's Life Fitness, whatever, it's going to be a little bit different. Like all of the machines are a little bit different in their calibration, the way the guide rods are. So 100 pounds on a leg press at one place may not be the same at another place. So you have to use some trial and error when you're doing this, and hopefully you gain enough experience where you can figure it out. But once you know your machine, your equipment that you're using, and of course dumbbells or free weights are a little bit easier because unless like there's really broken pieces off the dumbbell, 50 pounds or whatever is going to be 50 pounds for the most part. Although I have seen some discrepancies in different places, usually means the equipment's not very well maintained and rusty, not good. So the double progression would work like, let's say that you are doing the 10 to 15 reps or 12 to 15 reps. As I said, we pick a particular weight. We continue to go up in repetitions until you, the client, or me, the subject, can complete those repetitions naturally in good form. We don't want to use crappy form one day and perfect form the next. That's going to throw it off quite a bit. We always want to use good form, right? I mean, I say it all the time. Form is the most important thing. But we just continue to up the reps until you're able to complete the set in good form at your rep range, whether it be 15 at the top, 12 at the top, 8 at the top, 6 at the top, whatever you're doing. And when I say top, I mean the top end of your rep range. And then we simply increase by 5%. 5% is a great rule of thumb. It's marginal, but it works. We continue to make progress. You shouldn't notice much of a change as you go up, although technically 5% might, if you're really, really hitting volitional fatigue on your set, 5% might be a difference in say 1 to 2 reps. That's about what it would be. So after you reach the top end of your rep range, then you increase the next time 5%, and that doesn't change whether you're doing multiple sets or single sets. So if you're doing multiple sets, you would complete, let's say, all 3 of your sets if you're doing straight sets in your top end of your rep range, and then you would increase by 5%. That way you're always going up slightly. So many times I'll see in the big gyms, big, marketplace gyms, so to say, the LA Fitnesses or whatever, which is fine. Planet Fitnesses, those types of gyms. I'll travel, I'll utilize them, of course. They're fine. And, I'll see people just kind of winging their increases. And I mean, it's good if they don't get hurt, right? And at least they're working out. And maybe they're only doing it that day, who knows? But if you're doing that on a regular basis, you're probably going to overtrain. And you're just going to hit a plateau earlier than you needed to. And once you hit that plateau, man, it is hard to bust through that plateau. So it makes so much more sense to just go up slightly, just incrementally. Every time you can, just go up 5% as long as your form is staying good. So let's say you're doing 100 pounds on the chest press or the pull down machine, and your top end is 15 repetitions. You finally hit that 15 rep, you've been struggling 13, one workout, you come in the next time on a Wednesday, you get 14, great form, come back in on a Friday, you finally get that 15, so you've gone up 2 repetitions over the course of 5 days, which, hey, man, I would take that, right? Because once you hit a plateau, it's hard to do that. Then you simply go up 5%. So the next time you come in, you would go 105 pounds if your machine does that. If it doesn't go up by 5s, you can put a little single dumbbell on top of it. But you know what? The nice pre-core machines like we use and a lot of the other nice machines do have those little 5-pound increments on them. You know, people ask sometimes, what's that thing, that little thing on the top? Why are you pushing that in? It's like, that's our 5-pound increase. So you can just do that. And then you just work your way back up. Maybe you go up to 105 pounds and your first time you do it, you get 12 repetitions in good form, of course. Next time you come in, you get 13 repetitions, good form. Next time you come in, you get 14. Okay, great. 4 workouts later, you're back up to 15. Well, bam, boom, you go back up to 110 pounds. That's like a perfect use of progressive overload using the double progression system. So your reps are kind of just being dictated by the load increases, but you're still staying within your range, right? So if you're supposed to be doing, say, 12 to 15 reps, and no, it's not hugely different if it's 11 to 15 or whatever. This is just trying to keep it all simple. You know, your reps are dictated by the load increases. So as you increase, you know, the reps are going to naturally go down a little bit. That's normal. And then you work your way back up. The beauty of it is, whether you're looking for hypertrophy, which is increase in muscle cell size, muscular strength, which I think everybody knows what that is, or muscular endurance, meaning that the muscles can do more and more with the same load. Like, all 3 of them work hand in hand. Like, sometimes you'll see these influencers talking about like there's a perfect way to work one over the other. I mean, that's really not true. I mean, as muscles, the only way muscles get stronger, by the way, 95% of the strength increases are through hypertrophy. So they have to get a little bigger to get stronger. So if you're using more load in the same rep range, then you're getting stronger and you're adding muscle. And guess what? Every time you're adding muscle, you're also increasing your endurance. So it really gets overstated sometimes. But that is just one little progressive system that I love to use. And again, there's a method to the madness. So when you see us going up, you know, we have one client who we love. I mean, she's awesome. She always says, you know, is that up? Is that up? Am I going up? Like, she wants to know, she wants to be prepared. And sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes it's, yep, you know what? You did this amount last time and we're going to increase the load. She says, okay. Or sometimes it's, you know what? Nope, we kind of got stuck at 11 there. So we're going to keep this weight the same, but I really want you to try to do 12 reps. She goes, okay. She just likes to ask. I think everybody likes to know when they're progressing, but there is a method to the madness. You know, some clients, not with us, because hopefully I'm sure there's a couple, but, you know, we try to educate everybody. Like, it's not you don't have to get your ass kicked every time you work out. Like, a good workout doesn't always mean that somebody smoked you, you know. There's trainers, unqualified trainers at some of the bigger box gyms, you know, they do that because they want to get business and say, oh man, you know, they worked me so hard. I mean, that's really not getting your money's worth. Like, not if you're doing this on a regular basis. It's more important to have a plan where you're always going to see steady progress and the trainer's doing what is best for you. And trust me, that takes more discipline, I think, for some people than getting to the gym. It does for me, because sometimes I'll look at the load and go, oh man, you know, I can do this. I want to go up a little bit. Man, I remember 5 years ago, I was doing this, and my ego starts getting going. And then, you know, then I add more than I should. And I'm like, the reps went down, and, you know, I don't want to hurt myself. I want to continue to make progress. Like, it's just silly. I mean, working out is such a great feeling in itself. And a lot of times we got to tame that ego. Like, we don't always have to be smoked to have a good workout. If we're following a good, scientific, well thought out workout, it's about progressive overload and being smart. Okay? So there will be a quiz on this, and there really will, for everybody I send this to. Don't pretend you didn't listen, because I know when you listen. Big brother, Big Rob is watching you. Now, let's talk about garage doors, man. Overhead door of Daytona Beach cannot be beat. Jeff and Zach Hawk, I tell you what, man, those two are workout animals, and they're also the very best at installing garage doors and making sure you get the absolute best product in Volusia County. Check them out, overheaddordaytona.com.